We have a supercharged and confronting full moon in Aries on October 17th. This lunation happens to conjoin Eris, the goddess of discord. And Eris is all about amplifying the voices of those who've been marginalized or disenfranchised to be heard. All right, let's get into this full moon chart. There is a lot of charge here in this chart, and this is the first lunation following the eclipse season. And while this full moon chart may not carry the same energy of the eclipses, where it feels like the hands of fate are shaping and rearranging our lives, whether we're ready for it or not, eclipses are usually not gentle. They can sometimes be favorable. They can sometimes be very destructive, as we just saw with the devastation of this hurricane and that eclipse being conjunct like a combust Mercury. Mercury was pretty helpless, and Mercury being a planet of communications and short distance travel, for many people impacted by these floods, Mercury, yeah, that combust Mercury is definitely felt. Um, Anyhow, this full moon chart is not the kindest, and we're going to break this all down in a moment. But first, I want to get at one thing. We're going to be feeling the build up to this for several days. So let's begin with the sun's trine to Jupiter. Jupiter has just stationed retrograde at 21 degrees Gemini. And the sun's trine is only going to emphasize this. This is going to happen on October 13th. And this can be a little dose of optimism. This can be a dose of hope, gratitude, a sense of feeling like I'm provided for in some way. Again, Jupiter can only do so much in Gemini, and the sun fallen in Libra can only do so much as well. But there's something to feel optimistic about. So this might be help when you need it, a green light when you need it, something supportive. And that's about the only thing that is supportive in this chart. So let's celebrate the wins where we can. Because right off of that, on October 14th, the sun is going to come right into this nasty square with Mars. And we can see in this full moon chart on October 17th that the sun is still in a square with Mars, and the full moon in Aries is in a square with Mars. So we're going to start to feel this a few days before. And this is not great. The sun is fallen in Libra, Mars is fallen in Cancer. So this is a particularly nasty and irritable and sensitive square. There's a lot of insecurity here, and there is quite a bit of irritability and scarcity with this square. So the feeling of that is there. The feeling of needing to hold on to something, or feeling angry about something, feeling resentful about something. This, just know that if you're not feeling that way, I'm very happy for you, but a lot of other people are going to be feeling that way. Mars can be volatile, especially in this opposition with Pluto. Now, I've been talking a lot about Mars and the opposition with Pluto because this is going to be a signature that dominates the incoming Mars retrograde. I know we talked a little bit about that in my Mars and Cancer video. I know I've also talked a lot about this aspect in all of the things I've produced covering the election, the United States election, because that is going to be a defining signature there. And this, remind you, this lunation takes us right up to November 3rd, I believe. I think it's November 3rd we have our next lunation. November 1st. So yeah, and our election is on November 5th. So this is the buildup. Like, we're weeks away at this point, and it's already getting nasty. Mars Pluto, even though this aspect is not exact yet at this time, this is a lunation in Aries. We see this full moon culminating in Aries, which means that this is a lunation ruled by Mars. So we've got Mars opposite Pluto already dominating the next 2 weeks. And the next lunation is going to be a new moon in Scorpio also ruled by Mars opposite Pluto. So, this entire month, basically, we're already getting a taste, we're already getting introduced formally to this signature that's going to take us through April. Mars is going to retrograde in Leo, going back and forth in that opposition with Pluto, finally clearing that third pass with Pluto in the middle of April. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have: a Mars retrograde, a Venus retrograde, more eclipses in March. So everything that's happening now in our lives and in the world, there's like an echo, there's a reverberation taking us until March. And this is what I'm talking about with my clients day in and day out right now, is the drama that's unfolding here with Mars and Venus retrograde and these eclipses. So this is our first formal introduction to Mars-Pluto. Mars-Pluto is extremely volatile. It's explosive, it's angry, it's fierce, it's forceful, it's controlling, it's resentful here in Cancer. And there's something that's trying to hold on to. There's something it's forcefully trying to hold on to, doing anything it takes to protect itself, to protect the things it cares about. Mars is fallen in Cancer, so it understands that there's a vulnerability factor there. There's a scarcity factor, a sense of, I could lose this. If I lose this, what else will I have? And so I've been seeing that play out politically for a long time. I've been watching that, and it's been very clear to me politically for a while. But what devastates me right now is thinking about all of the humans on this planet that are really suffering right now due to natural disaster, due to war, due to violence, due to just like really high levels of brutality and cruelty. And this Mars and Cancer saying, like, I need to hold on and I will give it all I have. So there's like a ruthlessness component and also an eruptive, ragey component about it. So there will be people who are really enforcing that ability to be resourceful and that protectiveness at any and all costs. But there's also people who will like kick and punch back and retaliate with this. The only trouble is that Mars being ruled by the moon, it's not very strategic. It doesn't really think things through. It's kind of impulsive and reactive. Now, it does get a little bit of support. The moon in Aries is in mutual reception with Mars. So there's a tiny bit of support there. They're able to kind of help each other out a little bit, but I'm not sure how much it's really going to help. I mean, this is an extremely volatile, angry, like angsty, retaliatory full moon. Now, a lot of people might be saying, Catherine, this is a little harsh. Where's the positive? And the kind of astrology I practice is the kind of astrology that reflects real life. And sometimes life sucks and life is hard and there are terrible things that are happening. And this is a full moon that describes that. However, we do have agency in how we respond, and understanding the astrological weather helps us be prepared for it. So, how can we be prepared for this energy? Maybe the better, more supportive solution here. I always find that having outlets, like physical, sweaty outlets, is really valuable when Mars and Pluto line up. So, this would be the time to carve out space to get some workouts in, to go for a run, to go for a bike ride, lift some weights, that sort of thing. Like, get the energy out. Maybe music is your outlet, maybe art is your outlet. Whatever it may be, you need to have outlets this week, because even if you're not feeling this in a huge way, you might be feeling it a little bit, and just like, I feel a little bit more heat than is normally comfortable for me in my body. So this is, again, a very reactive kind of energy. So if you have outlets, this would be a really great time to use them to help you kind of manage and channel this energy more intentionally. Now, another thing going on in this chart that stands out to me is Venus at the anaretic degree of Scorpio. Now, Venus doesn't have a ton of stake in this lunation chart. I mean, Venus does rule the sun, sure, but this is important. Venus at the anaretic degree, Venus in Scorpio. There's another sense of insecurity here in this chart. Venus in detriment, like in Scorpio, Venus is trying to hold on to something. She's trying to make sure of something. There's a lot of trust issues for Venus in Scorpio at this degree. And Venus is coming off this opposition with Uranus the same day, October 14th, as that exact square with Mars and the sun. So that's another kind of take no shit. I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm not putting up with that anymore. I've been crossed way too many times, death by 1,000 paper cuts, because there's a high level of tolerance for Venus in Scorpio. She'll stick it out until she can no longer. And this is a moment where it's like, I'm done with that. So October 14th, I'm not surprised if that's like a big kind of breakup or tell someone off. That might be a day where people are just like, done. Done. We're cutting something off. We're walking away. We're drawing a line in the sand. Do not F with me. So in summation, this is not a nice full moon chart. Full moons amplify energy. This is a Mars-ruled full moon, so there's definitely something feisty in the air, and that is compounded by this Mars-Pluto, Venus opposite Uranus. The only nice thing here too is that Venus is coming off this trine with Neptune and this grand trine with Mars. So that was a really resourceful thing, trying to bring mutual understanding and mutual aid, but it's coming out of its formation here. And so what really just stands out to me is the lack of support in this chart, the lack of resources in this chart. And we're going to be feeling that. A lot of astrologers are correct to point out that this eclipse hangover is particularly heavy and exhausting because a lot of the planets are in detriment or fall right now. So we're just not feeling like we have the vitality or we have the resources right now. And that is really compounded here. So this just shows exhaustion. This chart is one of like exhaustion. Like we're done. There's nothing left. We're angry now. Like we're in fight or flight right now. And so you may not be experiencing this as personally, but other people will be. So just be prepared for that. And my goodness, like this chart cast for the United States, it's everything is on the angles. So I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about this full moon. I am. And y'all know me. I'm pretty balanced. I always try to have nice things to say, but it's really difficult to find nice things about this chart. But anyways, I hope that whatever erupts to the surface ultimately serves you in the highest. You know, sometimes it's important to get that stuff out. Something I've been talking a lot about with clients, and it's been coming up a lot, is that in order to have the Libra thing of harmony and peace, like you have to name it, you have to call it out, you have to address the injustice over here. And that's what the full moon in Aries is about. It's pointed. It's calling something out. It's not wasting any time. There's no point in curating our delivery right now. It's just honest and truthful. And sometimes the truth hurts, but sometimes we need to hear it so that we can really get down to business and solving the problem. And that's what Mars's incoming retrograde is all about, is trying to solve an issue. So we'll be talking more about that in the future, as well as in the Mars and Cancer video I already put out. But for right now, that is your astrology shot of the day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also head on over to my website, catherineurban.com, where you can book your next astrology reading. We'll go into depth into your natal chart, your progressions, your perfections, your solar return, your transits, and beyond. You can also join my mailing list where you can stay up to date with me on new classes as well as article drops. I look forward to connecting with you, and I'll see you next time.